Hi everyone, it's Rachel back with the Shades of Orange. Today I want to do a really fun video talking about my most anticipated horror releases for the rest of 2019. If you are watching my videos, you'll know that I already did a similar video talking about science fiction, but a lot of people were really excited for me to do the same thing for horror, so here this is, and I have some great books to talk about. This isn't an exhaustive list of every single horror book coming out this fall, but simply the books that I am most excited to read and hopefully review for all of you. So all that being said, let's get into it. Of course, the usual caveats that these dates are subject to change and they are based off of my dates in my country of Canada, so they might be different, especially if you live somewhere like the UK. Otherwise, let's get into the books. First, on September 24th is Violet by Scott Thomas. This, of course, is the same author who wrote Kill Creek, which I've heard amazing things about and still need to read. I'm planning on reading it in October, so spoilers for my October TBR. If any of you want to read along with me, I'm hoping to do that maybe as a big buddy read. But otherwise, I'm very excited for his second book, Violet, which I think I'm going to enjoy even more because it is the kind of story that I love. This is about a woman who, after losing her husband, decides to go to her childhood lake house home with her young daughter. This brings up a lot of memories because her own mother died in this location, and she gets visited by her childhood imaginary friend. And I'm so excited for this one because I love stories that play with childhood imagination, because you get to play into the idea of, is it real or is it just a child's fantasies? And I think this one's going to be great. I've heard great things about Scott Thomas and his writing, and I've heard this one is a little more literary, which is something I've come to really start to enjoy more in horror, so very much looking forward to it. I have been approved for a review copy, so you're definitely going to see my thoughts on the release date. Next is the book I'm probably most excited for, even though I don't have a specific release date. So sometime in October, Cameron Chaney is supposed to put out his first short story collection, and this is going to be called Autumncrow. I understand that it's going to be 8 short stories, 7 which have not been published previously, as well as his short story There Are Monsters Here, which I previously read and loved, so I'm very excited to see more from him. Of course, you probably know him because he does have a YouTube channel. He is a booktuber himself. He makes great reviews and has a fantastic library of Goosebump books as well as other retro titles, so I do consider him a bit of an online friend, but regardless, I honestly enjoy his work. I definitely plan on reviewing his book when it comes out, and you're gonna see my thoughts, which of course will be honest, and as always, I will be sharing exactly what I think about it, but if I have a guess based off of his work that I've read so far, I think I'm gonna absolutely love it. Also, I'm recording this before I've seen the cover, but hopefully in this video I will have an image showing here by the time you're watching this. And I understand that Cameron Rubique, one of my other favorite horror authors, made the cover in collaboration with Cameron Chaney. And even though I've not seen the cover yet, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, wow, isn't this cover amazing? Because everything that Cameron Rubique does in terms of cover art is brilliant. So I'm just gonna assume that I love this cover because I'm sure I do. So all that being said, this is probably my most anticipated release of all the books I'm going to talk about here. Now on October 1st, Joe Hill is coming out with a short story collection himself. This one is called Full Throttle. I don't know a lot about it. I know that there are 13 short stories that are all described as supernatural thrillers. 2 of the stories in the collection have been co-written with his father, who of course is Stephen King. I've said that Joe Hill is one of my favorite horror authors. I love Nosferatu and Horns. So I'm very much excited to check out some short stories from him, and I have a feeling I'm going to love this collection as well. Next, on October 8th from Quirk Books is one called The Remaking by McLeod Chapman, and this one sounds really fun. It's involving a story that is supposedly inspired by real events. I don't know how much of that is true at this point, but I do want to look further into it. And this is one about a woman who worked as an apothecary, living in the woods, helping to heal the townspeople until someone dies and she is blamed for that death and is burned at the stake along with her daughter. This is back in the past, and now in the 70s, a film is being made inspired by those events. And the book specifically follows the actress who played one of the lead characters and her experience during that filming. And it sounds like something strange and possibly supernatural happens. And now in the present day, as the film is being remade, a podcaster is interviewing her, and she she is telling her story of what happened. I think this book sounds great. You know that I love stories that are very meta, and I like the fact that it's bringing in new technology, new ideas. I love that it's bringing in that like podcast feel to it. So very much excited for this one. I'm definitely hoping to get my hands on a review copy of this so I can weigh in with my thoughts. But from the premise alone, I definitely think this one has favorite potential. Next, on October 22nd from Orbit Books is one I have been anticipating for a really long time, and that is Ghoster by Jason Arnopp. He, of course, is the author of The Last Days of Jack Sparks, but this new novel is about a woman who moves in with her new boyfriend to an apartment. However, he vanishes and all that he leaves behind is his cell phone. But strange things start to happen. They start to get strange calls from this phone, and it seems like there's some kind of presence in the apartment that is possibly being caused by the phone itself. I've said before that I love horror that actually includes or incorporates new technology. So often horror books are all about the phone lines being cut, the technology not working, and the story is moved forward because they are trapped in this isolated situation. So I like the fact that this book is kind of the opposite of that and includes social media, includes a phone that is actively working or possibly not working the way they intended it to. But this sounds like a lot of fun, definitely up my alley, and I'm hopefully going to get a chance to review it for you, so I will keep you posted. Then on November 26th, there's another short story collection that I'm very excited to check out, and that is called Things We Say in the Dark by Kirsty Logan. I haven't read anything by her before, but the premise of this collection really caught my attention. It's supposed to be a very feminist group of stories that are somewhere between horror and dark fantasy. There are some dark fairy tale retellings, and all the stories are surrounding sources of women's fear, from domestic violence to claustrophobia in domestic relationships. And I just think that the whole collection sounds fantastic, and I definitely want to check it out for myself. If it's as good as it sounds, it definitely could be another favorite of mine. As well, on October 29th is a book you've already heard me mention, but I'm still excited for it, and that is 12 Nights at Rotter House by J.W. Ocker. This is a story of a travel journalist who studies the paranormal that agrees to spend 12 nights in a haunted house with one of his friends. It sounds like they've had a bit of a falling out, and of course they have picked the worst possible time to reunite because I imagine this house is going to be haunted and crazy things will ensue. I am very much excited to check this one out, and you'll definitely be getting a review of this since I have a physical ARC. So that is another one that is definitely high up on my list. And finally, on December 10th is The Dead Girls Club by Damien and Angelica Walters. This is one that I did request for review because she is quickly becoming one of my favorite authors. I have a review of her short story collection, Cry Your Way Home, that is coming out later in September, so watch for that. But I adored her short stories, so I'm very much excited to check out her novel. This story follows a group of young girls that back 30 years ago formed a group called the Dead Girls Club, where they were obsessed with serial killers and all dark and creepy things, which frankly sounds amazing. However, that fell apart when one of the girls died. Now 30 years later, the past is coming back to haunt one of the girls because somebody knows what happened, and the past is just coming back. So I'm very much excited for this. I have heard that it is a bit more of a thriller than straight up horror, but those two genres are so closely linked together that I don't mind whichever way it goes. I am very much excited to check it out because I think that Walters is a fantastic writer, and I pretty much just want to read anything that she puts out at this point. So I'm very much excited to read and review that one for you, so stay tuned for that. So that's it for my most anticipated horror releases for the rest of 2019. It's by no means an exhaustive list. There's definitely other books that I'm interested in checking out, and I'm sure as soon as I finish recording this, I'm going to hear about some other books that I'm very excited for that just simply didn't make the filming window. But I would love for you to share your own most anticipated releases down below. Which of the books I mentioned would you like me to prioritize for review? I will try to actually read and review all of these if possible, but that kind of depends on availability of review copies and such. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.